There's one right there. That feels good.
There's one. Wow. That's a net full.
There we go.
Good one. Real good one.
Look at that beast.
Beautiful. Got it. Wow, that's a big one, dude.
That's what it's all about, man.
Nice job, you two.
Lund Boats proudly presents the ultimate fishing experience.
Some of the greatest innovations of the 21st century were born out of World War II. With a nation at war, the American people rose to the occasion and put their talents to work supporting the war effort. Howard Lund was one of those people, working for the U.S. Navy from 1940 to 1946. With the war over and 6 years of experience working on ships and submarines, a Minnesota sportsman returned home to New York Mills for the next chapter. A passion for hunting and fishing drove a need to access waters in pursuit of fish and game. Howard had a hard time finding a quality duck boat to hunt out of, so he built one. The year was 1948. The Lund Boat Company was born. Sometimes a man's hobby becomes his lifetime occupation, and in my case it did. I just loved to build boats and be around them. I went into production of aluminum hunting boats in 1950, and a few years later started to build 12 and 14-foot fishing boats also. The conditions of success were set. With the post-World War II economic expansion well underway, the Lund Boat Company, then referred to as Lund Metalcraft, saw key growth in the 1950s, producing a mix of aluminum hunting and fishing boats, as well as runabouts, such as the iconic Water King, Water Queen, and Water Princess. With the American dream playing out for many, family vacations became common, and the resort business boomed. With an unmatched build quality, Lund's S-Series resort boats spread like wildfire throughout Lake Country and Canadian fishing camps.
I've been to camps in the far north where they may have flown a boat in 30 years ago. The thing sits upside down on a beach, and once a year, a family gets the chance to go in there, or a group of buddies gets a chance to go in there, fly in a motor, and fish a remote location where nobody's been. There's been no maintenance done to this boat. Your grandpa might have fished out of this boat, but the things are rugged, they're durable, and they last forever and ever. And that really says a lot about the brand and how strong these boats really are in a time when so many things are just here today and gone tomorrow.
You know, growing up on, Cutfoot in the summertime, Lake Winnebagosh, and, the guides that were out there at the resorts, and the resorts had the Lund boats, and that was kind of the aspiration, and, that's what kind of tripped our trigger, if you will, in regards to wanting to be in a Lund.
When Dad made that purchase of that first Lund boat, was kind of like, almost like what the crossover is today. You know, it's kind of fishing boat, but yet family, recreation. But that changed everything as a family in regards to, now all of a sudden, we were fishing all the time versus going out, breaking down, getting towed in, working on a boat. Now we became a family.
With the wheels of progress underway and a desire for growth, Howard Lund purchased the Shell Lake Boat Company in 1968 to expand into fiberglass boats. Factory expansions and continued growth were possible in part due to a public stock offering in 1969. Widespread acceptance of the brand continued, and in 1972, Lund opened a plant facility in Steinbach, Manitoba to meet demand.
Tough public landing sites like this one are typical throughout the North. One of the many advantages of the smaller open fishing boats that I use is that it can be put into large lakes, but on the smaller backwards lakes as well.
My family and I, in the 60s, late 60s, owned a Lindy Tackle Company. And that is where I acquired my first Lund boat, which was a Shell Lake boat from Shell Lake, Wisconsin. And the first television show I ever shot and it was in my Lund boat from Shell Lake, Wisconsin. By the way, I can still remember that boat, and it was rigged out big time, man. You had things like splash guards on the back to handle big waves. You were mounting your trolling motors, and I look at my boat today parked in my driveway. I got a 2075 Pro V with a 300 horse Merc on the back, and we come a long way, baby. I mean, it's been a great run.
The 1970s were marked by some notable advancements in fishing boats. Boat sales concentrated on 14 and 16-foot models through much of the 1970s. But 1978 experienced a tectonic shift with the launch of the Mr. Pike. Former Lund marketing director Lanny Orvala considered Mr. Pike the most significant development in the company's history. Here came a 16-foot fishing boat featuring casting platforms, pedestal seating, centrally located and aerated live well, built-in rod lockers, and storage space for gas tanks and other equipment. It transformed Lund from a manufacturer of primarily utilitarian boats into a producer of deluxe fishing boats designed for the pro angler.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
One really extraordinarily unique time in fishing was in the late 60s into the 70s when they started stocking the Great Lakes with salmonids, meaning cohos, brown trout, steelhead, rainbow trout. And within in-fishermen, my father was more or less the Great Lakes commando.
Yeah, and this was for an afternoon's work. When are you gonna put me on the really big fish?
And at that point in time, Lund actually started to bring out some of their big water boats, namely the Tyee and Baron. I can't tell you how many times, I mean, this is really extraordinarily fond memories because I'm thinking back about my dad and how many times we had just incredible fishing, and it was such a learning experience. You're going out in these big unknown waters. The Tyee and the Baron were predecessors to the Pro Vs, but what we did garner from that was hull design that ultimately was instilled in a lot of the Pro V lines, which you're talking about our big water walleye boats. And a lot of the PWT guys all of a sudden started fishing big water walleye tournaments, and guess what they see? Same thing, these gigantic walleyes that they've never seen before. All of a sudden, you got Perry with cookie cutter, 10-pounders. Amazing times in fishing.
I had a 1982 Lund Pro Angler with a 50 Mariner, and back then, that was the walleye boat to have. I mean, myself, Gary Roach, Cylinders, a lot of the top guys were running the Lund Pro Angler back then.
The ability for these guys who have built engineered boats that you could go do that safely, and that's not an easy thing, no question about it, because the biggest thing is when you take off out of the dock, you're coming back to that dock. You know what I mean?
From a historic perspective, that's about the time Lund was changing into a competitive angling, fishing boat.
Mr. Pike was really the predecessor to all these, the Pro Guide, all these boats that are out here now. Now, all of a sudden, you could have pedestal seats, no longer bench seats. You could place anglers in the boat where you needed to, so then a guide could be pretty efficient.
When Mr. Pike came on the scene, it took boat design and lifted it a little bit. It was the dressing that started from the console layout to the interior layout of the boat. That is the boat that started taking the smaller aluminum average fishing boat and took it to another level, and then to another level. And anybody that was really into fishing, up here, these hardcore guys, they jumped on Mr. Pike immediately.
Howard Lund retired from his illustrious boat building career in 1981. But not before springboarding the brand into a full-on race to fishing supremacy. With Mr. Pike in the stable, Lund aggressively expanded its roster of hardcore fishing machines under the leadership of Larry Levold and Lanny Orvala, and the influence of a team of professional anglers, soon to be known as Lund Pro Staff.
Being a promotional fisherman, as we were, they had everything in the boats. They had everything you ever needed. What else do you need in there,
I had a great relationship with Lanny Orvala, who was vice president of marketing for Lund, and I would go in to see him. I'd drive over to New York Mills and talk to him about some of the changes that I would like to see. Or he would call me up and ask me. We had to write reports every year what we liked and disliked. And there was some things that, we didn't like. So the thing is, the pro staff, which really got going in the 80s, that was the start of them listening to the pro staff. As long as you were doing something for the product. I think that was a real important part of what the pro staff and what Lanny really required us to do.
Spurred in part by top-tier education outlets such as the In-Fisherman, navigation technologies such as Loran Sea, and walleye tournament-born tactics and techniques.
How's that for a walleye?
From sprawling prairie reservoirs to the Great Lakes, anglers pushed harder than ever to find and catch fish.
Walleye fishing has always been a big part of my life. Back to the Lindy days, walleye fishing was the foundation of what happened with the tackle company. 25 years I was involved within fishermen. Yes, we were a multi-species company, but walleye was a big, big part of it. So it was at this point in time, we sat down with some of the people at Lund and told them what we were going to do. We're going to get something started called the Professional Walleye Trail.
This is the In-Fisherman Professional Walleye Trail.
We worked with Lanny and Larry very, very, very close with this. We started to take these tournaments to big bodies of water, from Lake of the Woods, Mille Lacs, Rainy Lake, naturally the Great Lakes, fishing in 6 and 8 foot waves on some bodies of water. These boats were taking a beating. We started to learn that our boats needed a tweaking. We had to improve the live wells. Mainly, we had to improve the hull. And after every tournament, we can do this, we need to make this better, we have to reinforce the transom for this, we're going to bigger motors. There were so many technological breakthroughs that Lund was involved in designing the boats to make them bigger, better, stronger. And it just, every year, it was leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds.
In 1999, Lund changed the hulls of aluminum boats forever.
The quest for ride and handling supremacy led Lund to develop the game-changing IPS hull design, which to this day continues to set Lund apart from the rest.
Which gave you a pad, gave you a reverse chime, it gave you an experience, an on-the-water ride experience that was second to none. Everybody said, geez, this is just like glass, if not better, because I'm an aluminum boat. Fuel efficiency, performance, fishability, all those things, it raised the bar for the entire marine industry in regards to, if you didn't have an IPS hull on it, underneath it, it was just another aluminum fishing boat.
When I talk about fishability, you have to understand I'm talking about a variety of different things. It's performance, getting to and from spots, getting there safely, no matter what the wind and weather conditions that you face. You're in the Great Lakes. Hull designs enable you to go forward, back troll, as well as drift fish.
I mean, there isn't a boat around, an aluminum boat, that rides like a Lund. I mean, there just isn't. It changed the world of fishing and controlling the boat.
Huge difference, and better ride, stayed a lot drier. It's unreal just the way that the evolution of the boats is. Kind of fun to just dream about what's next. You know, what are they going to come up with next?
Lund customers are the true architects of our boats. If you've got a need, we fulfill it, first and best. With a DNA defined by professional-grade fishing, tournaments, and media continued to drive innovation. The new millennium brought new and redesigned boat models, such as the esteemed Lund Fisherman. Attention was brought inside the boats, where Lund designers and engineers set their sights on maximizing fit and finish, storage capacity, and adding features that enhance comfort and fishability. Lund introduced innovative firsts, such as Sport Track, the adjustable gunnel-based channel that allows a wide range of accessories to be quickly added, adjusted, or removed without drilling holes. And with more fishing know-how came more tactics, which meant more rods and deck clutter. Lund designers hit the drawing board, and the center rod locker was born. Anglers could now pack countless rods to meet the fish on their terms. Got friends? You could bring extra anglers too, thanks to the introduction of jump seats that double as seating or added deck space while protecting storage underneath. While the coveted aluminum lineup tackled waves, the company wasn't afraid to make new ones. Lund introduced fiberglass to its Deep V lineup of boats, giving consumers their choice of material matched to their unique needs.
I've kind of had a lot of the lineup of the Lund boats, but my favorite so far is definitely the 219 glass. The way the gel coat and the flake reflects in the sun is one of my favorite things about a glass boat. So yeah, they're super fast, crush the big waves, kind of everything a tournament angler wants.
The Fiberglass Pro V and Tie GL lineup continue to tame waves and beaches while filling live wells in superb comfort. Our boats don't know it, but it's not always about hardcore angling. Our dealer network let us know, so Lund expanded the fishing and sport boat lineup in the early 2010s. Enter the era of the Impact and Crossover. Two boats designed to serve everyone. The Impact became a staple for hardcore anglers thanks to its fishing-first design, but added useful recreation features. Crossover did the same, but with a little more emphasis on making the crossover from fishing to cruising, and the water sports in high style. Both models continued to excel and evolve. Yes, the 1980s through 2000s were transformative years in freshwater sport fishing, but the same can be said now.
You know, as well as walleye boats, we have Great Lakes boats, and you know, in more recent years, we brought out the Renegade as well as the Pro V Bass. A lot of the new anglers that are coming into the sport revolves around with this high school and collegiate fishing.
High school and college fishing programs have rapidly expanded throughout the country, bringing new and younger participants into fishing.
Yes, I was lucky enough to grow up in a time, mid-2000s. I was lucky enough that my high school in Grand Rapids started a fishing team. Lund was one of the most proactive brands, I would say, that, stepped up and supported youth and high school fishing, specifically through the Student Angler Tournament Trail, which I was lucky enough to fish throughout my high school career.
Lund proudly supports these critical youth initiatives. Support to the Student Angler Tournament Trail, Virtual Fishing League, and Angler Young Angler are clear examples.
Right when I was getting into bass fishing, Lund actually came out with the Pro V Bass, and I was fortunate enough to run one right away.
The Lund Pro V Bass and Renegade boats are aimed squarely at this hardcore angling cross-section and deliver proven Lund performance and purpose-built design.
I grew up with a map in my hand, a tiller drive, and a 14-foot Lund, and caught thousands of fish, every species. The evolution just keeps continuing, and eventually ended up in the 2075 Pro V Bass, and the best aluminum bass boat on the market. Just big, strong, well put together, big water, can go in shallow water. I can do everything with it. Glad I'm in the Lund. And my job demands it now. I fish the Bassmaster Elite Series and travel across the country, fishing a wide array of water bodies, and that boat serves me well, and I love it. Lund is bass fishing too.
And while bass and muskies are in the crosshairs, the Pro V Bass and Muskie and the Renegade hold their own on multi-species missions too.
Huh? How about that?
Lund will never settle for good enough. Fishing and boating trends constantly evolve, so innovation is our only constant. We design, redesign, and build new boats to meet change head on. The future of Lund is brighter than ever, because with change comes opportunity. This period of recent history has proved people's love of fishing and boating that only on-the-water experiences can deliver.
Memories are made in Lund boats.
Lund is committed to meeting that demand. Change demands our best, and we love making exceptional boats here at home.
We're challenged to make a better boat every year.
You know, there's a boat that I could remember in my career, I think I had one just like it. That's the longevity of boats like that. They won't let loose of them. How much more can you say about a boat company than what we say about Lund Boat Company? And they've made the boats the best there is.
Oh, I had one pop me right under the boat, man.
I'm proud of the fact that I have worked with such a company like Lund my entire career. And in our business today, that's a rarity. It is truly a rarity. And we're still in this learning curve. You know, how do we make things bigger, better, faster?
We are and will remain leaders. We're boat builders, fishermen, and passionate dealers. Yes, this loyal Lund family will continue to deliver the ultimate fishing experience far into the future.
Thank you, Lund, for providing a great career, great family experiences, great time with friends, and I wish you another great 75 years down the road.
Congratulations, that's an amazing accomplishment considering today's day and age. And I know one thing, we're gonna keep on moving into the future, and it's directly associated to one thing, quality. Lund Boat quality.
75th for Lund, 85th for Mr. Walleye. Happy birthday.
Congratulations, Lund, for 75 phenomenal years. I am so thankful, so proud to have been a part of the success, and I'm just going to keep doing it. I'll hang in there for a while, and I'm going to be riding into Lund someplace.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like more information, check out lundboats.com or these other online outlets.